Welcome back, welcome in, welcome all. Like that, episode 6. Of course, with Nico, Nick, Brooklyn. Guys, happy late Halloween. How is everybody?
Good, good. I'm doing pretty well. I had a My Halloween experience was definitely interesting. I don't know about you guys, but first of all, my girlfriend and I went as Shaggy and Scooby. I was Shaggy. She was not. She was Scooby Doo, but I was dressed as
Good
Shaggy.
clarification.
Uh, yes. We went into Boston
He
with
was
a few of
Shaggy.
our
I was
friends.
Scooby.
If anybody's ever done a Boston bar crawl before, do not do it at night. It was definitely one of the worst experiences of my life. There's if you go
Why?
on like if you go on if you go on TikTok or Twitter, like you can see videos of just like how crowded it was. They just like weren't prepared. There was a lot of people there. It was fun, like the first place that we went to, but after we left, man, it was a lot. It was a lot.
That's cool.
But
I
I
my
paid over
Halloween.
$100 for an Uber home. So,
Oh, well, I hope
yeah.
you won some money this past Sunday.
Nope.
So my Halloween was alright. Me and my girlfriend and I and her sister went to some like house party or whatever. We were the Fairly Odd Parents that they were. I was Timmy Turner. They had full on colored wigs. Green, pink, wands and everything. Wings. I had a pink shirt and a pink hat. Is it? And I told him I was like,
That's all you
guys,
need.
I know we currently look like Timmy Turner and the Fairly Odd Parents. We gotta stick together for the rest of the night, otherwise I just become a guy who's dressed really brightly for some reason. So
in
that was
in
it.
this small hat.
Yeah, yeah, in the hat, yeah.
I
Nico,
think
what'd
That
you
was
dress up as?
I stayed home. I didn't go. Like, to be honest, like, I don't disrespect the Halloween hype, but me personally, like, I
oh,
don't
I
know.
do.
There was like a stretch of like 3 years when I was like like around like 7 where I was like sick every year on Halloween. So like I missed a lot of the core memories. I don't know. I'm just like I enjoy how everyone like wants to dress up and such, but for me it's not my forte.
What in recent history? What's been like your best like Halloween costume?
Well,
Last
Oh,
time
I
you
can
ever
tell
dressed
you.
up?
last
It's
year I was
probably been
Scooby.
the same Scooby. Yeah, and it's been the same costume the last 3 years.
It
I was
works.
gonna
It's
say.
reliable. It's a good costume, and like I'm a true Scooby Doo fan. You know, like I was so cold that night. Like when I was at like the last time I wore it 2 years ago. I was staying at a friend's place and he left the window open. And it was one of those like classics, like you know the meme where it's like, oh, like finding a blanket at your friend's place and the guy's like snuggling a couch. Like no,
Yes.
I had no blanket and I was asleep in shorts. And I wake up in like 2 in the morning. It's like 40 degrees because the window's open. So I put the Scooby costume back on. Like it's warm. I will say the one thing that's cool about Halloween, and I will always go for it. Like if I'm dressing up, I'm wearing a onesie. Like if you say you're doing a night bar crawl, you get out of the bar, you're not cold.
That's true. I was freezing because I just had the shirt on. I was
I just
dying.
imagine. I just imagine you get back to like your friend's place. You guys all take your costumes off. You go to bed, and then everyone wakes up, and then you like suddenly have it back on.
I looked like a bear rug because I was on the floor. Like I had a pillow and that was it.
It's just the Sully onesie. He just wakes up and it's just Sully.
It's like I swear you took that off last night.
Yeah, no,
Back to football.
yeah. Well, Scooby will probably return next year, to be honest, but we'll see.
Probably.
Yeah, talking football. Was not a good. Our I think our worst week or our second worst week since we started the podcast. If we count for like totals in the spreadsheet. Brooklyn kind of had like the saving day. I mean, he got 8 correct picks out of the 14 that we had. So that's positive. Myself and Nick not so hot. I had 6, Nick
May I
5.
say
I don't want to.
some of those
I don't
beats
want
in
to
the
talk
spread
about it,
were
man.
just so painful. Like, cause some of them were
I don't
like
want to talk about it.
some of those games where you were a little bit more like blatantly like, wait a minute, the Packers are playing the
Bengals,
Panthers. That should be a blowout,
Bengals.
right? And God, that game was fucking horrendous. And then don't get me started about the Chargers. The third and or maybe fourth time I've taken them in any pick, and they fuck me again. And this is actually for my lotto lay, which they were the only pick wrong, and that would have cashed me like just a comfortable 500. Nope, they couldn't beat the Titans by 10 or more.
I think we spend too much time dwelling on the bad and we should discuss the good, right? Like, all of us got the Niners. Easy layup. We didn't even talk too much on it, you know?
That's
Easy.
true.
That wasn't even a sweat.
Nope.
Rams. I mean, I don't want to spoil it. We'll talk picks of the week in just a moment, but that was a clean sweep there. But those were the only two we got last week. Or actually, excuse me, Seattle in the Sunday night game. Um, discussing picks of the week though. 8.5 for the Lions was nuts. Some bad turnovers, blocked field goal. I will say for most of that game, like, I think I was in a call with Nick for that game, and it didn't look pretty, but there was optimism all the way through. Like, there was still like a little bit of a chance. Once it was like 5 minutes left in the game, it was kind of chopped from there. But it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a bad pick.
No, no, definitely not. A lot of heartbreak this weekend, but it wasn't a bad pick. The
Uh,
Bengals pick hurt me the most. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
get to that game
Yeah.
in a moment.
That was rough, especially when I said to both of you, "Wow, I'm the only one that took the Bengals this week in the spreadsheet."
I'm sorry, man.
And
You kidding me?
The
Joe Flacco
fucking
leading that
Colts and
fucking
Loveland.
that Joe Flacco drive in the very like what was it, the less than like a minute in the game, and somehow that happens. Like that doesn't happen
Yeah.
again.
Bengals scored 15 points in, I think it was like under a minute and a half. And my favorite part of that is, again, still on the call with Nick, watching Red Zone. And since he scores to take the lead, and he starts victory lapping. Oh, you guys should have took Cincinnati, which, like, I mean, rightful. I wouldn't say, like, that's why I wait to victory lap till the game's over. But
Yeah. You know what I should learn to do? Shut the fuck up, maybe. That's what I should learn to do. Maybe just shut my mouth and watch the game.
crazy
Usually
game
gives you the
though.
best result.
I took
Oh, insane.
I took the under on 80 points before the game, so that was great. I didn't. I
Yeah,
didn't.
like what? That was also insane. Oh my god.
It was
Talking about the
unbelievable.
Colts, though. Daniel Jones having the worst game he's had all year happens to be the one week I'm like, let's go Colts again, baby, and they're actually favored this time. 3 interceptions, QB rating of 63, 342 yards passing, but they were playing from behind that entire game, and also JT didn't show up at all. 14 carries for 45 yards. The Steelers were prepared, very prepared, and they said on the broadcast, Pittsburgh playing literally the best defense they played all year happens to be against the current best team in the league. So I can't really fault myself too bad for that. But that's betting, I guess.
I mean, I think that goes to show that maybe the Colts without Jonathan Taylor, like, they can't establish the run. Maybe they're not as legit as we saw.
But hey, Alec Pierce racking up 115 yards on 6 receptions. It took Michael Pittman 9 receptions to do the same thing.
I would say outside of the turnovers from that game being a big issue for the Colts loss, the only other thing that really, when you look at the statistics, you crunch the numbers, that really like makes sense as to why your pick was wrong was you talked shit about the Colts guy. The one time you pick a bone with a guy, you're you're praising this guy for loving his team. You call him out for it. You take his team from him. You say, I'm the Colts fan this week. And they lose.
I don't got the mojo, man. I mean, he performed in the preseason game for them, like before kickoff. Like he did one of the songs.
I mean, as you should. That's just incredible marketing. The guy's blowing up on social media. Hell yeah, he better come to a game.
My apologies to Mr. Colts guy. You are clearly
Mr. Colts guy?
you're clearly. I don't who do you know his handle? He's clearly not an NFL industry plant. He is the Colts legend, and I will respect that from here on out.
And then the last game, the Rams. Which, not gonna lie, I mean, both two games, like I said, they were close, like, trailing, but like they weren't exactly out of it. My point of view for the Rams game, sitting back, coasting, absolutely coasting. Who would have thought? Tyler sucks. All right, who was surprised the 26-year-old rookie didn't perform?
Dude,
That's
when I
what
was
the
doing
6-year-old
my notes
rookie-
earlier, and I saw that he was 26 years old, I was like, holy fuck, he's got like 2 years in the league. What? Like, why is he competing for the starting job now? He's 26.
Yeah, I loved
Gotta be
that
ready.
pick.
Yeah.
Uh,
It was-
well, thank you for
Uh,
that pick because it did help me win a something that sparked a nice little run for me so far since Sunday. We'll do a 260 off a 10 because of 12 and a half, partly because of
yeah.
Dalton Kincaid cashing in any time, and also what's his face? I forget who the other one was, but appreciate the pick.
Yeah, I also sincerely apologize about the Detroit Lions.
I don't apologize about the Colts. It's
That was a misread by me. You know, that I did mention that they were top 10 in sacks, and they did a really good job at not giving Goff any time in the pocket. He had no time really to throw, and Gibbs was just non-existent that game too. It was
happy.
just it was a rough game for the Lions offense. It was granted to happen, but at home, I mean, I thought it was a good pick, but shout out Noah.
Yeah, but that's crazy. Um,
Shout out Noah.
yeah, I just also looked at it. Spencer Rattler is younger than Tyler Shuck. Little fun fact there. He's 25. Um, currently, I'm gonna jinx it now, so I'm knocking out wood. But with like my picks of the week, I'm currently on a 4-game win streak, 4-1. My first L was week one.
Oh, oh,
Jets get the
here we go.
classic Nick broken finger cast. Um,
Not
but
anymore. I'm tired.
but
Fingers crossed 'cause we're tired.
another interesting thing from last week. Away teams against the spread went 9-5. That was probably the most outlier stat to look out. 9-5, but specifically away underdogs last week were 5-1. Which, when you look at the spreadsheets, that very much equates to what a lot of us were looking at. But Miami Thursday night, or actually they were a home dog, so that doesn't matter at all. Bye weeks going into this week, we got week 10, so no Bengals, no Chiefs, no Cowboys. Fantasy teams are cooked there. That's a lot of talent, and the Titans.
You're telling me,
And
yeah.
If I'm a Tennessee Titan fan, this is probably my favorite week through the NFL schedule.
this is the
Uh,
one Sunday where you aren't depressed watching football. Like
this
you're
is
like,
actually
oh
the one
wow,
Sunday they watch
this is
football.
what it's like. Yeah.
The one Sunday they actually turn on the games. Like, no, yeah, this is tough for fantasy. I got Pickens and CD both on one team. Um,
Oh, I could do
Yeah,
you
let
one
Nick
better than that.
talk.
And one team I have Dak, Ferguson, CD, and Pickens all on bye this week. So
bro, that's just like me. That's literally me having Garrett Wilson, Brees, and Justin Fields.
it sucks. It sucks.
Yeah,
That
but
that sucks too. They're playing.
I'd much rather
I
have the
still have.
Cowboys team than the Jets team if we're gonna.
Oh no, I mean, yeah,
Jets on a
I mean,
bye is still better than
I
the
got
Jets.
lucky.
Sorry, Cowboys on the bye are still better than the Jets playing. Like,
No, in the long run, it's still worth it. I mean, definitely so, especially since tight ends are favored in this league. But this week sucks.
But let's jump right into it. Thursday night football, we got the Las Vegas Raiders heading over to Denver. Line that we got it at is 9.5. I'm currently checking to make sure or see if that's changed at all.
I do believe it's still at 9.5 right now.
Totals at 42.5. A good Denver defense, a Raiders team that helped me out on the spreadsheet last week. I thought they could make it in. I thought they could win against Jacksonville, at least cover. But they were a 2-point conversion from walking out with a W. So
Yep.
very, very close game
I
there.
believe going to half was 3-6.
It was.
It looked really good as our poop game of the week, and then the second half was like actually entertaining. Like it looked like poop
It
for
was
the first half.
0-0 with like 5 minutes left in the second
Trevor
half.
Lawrence's
Or in the first half.
Trevor Lawrence's Jordan flu game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean the offense picked up pace in the second half. But what are you guys taking away from this game?
Not a whole lot.
I'm the only one that actually took the Raiders in the spreadsheet. Both of you are in Denver. I think 9.5 with this Denver team's kind of a big margin. I mean, I get their defense is really good. They don't have Surtain, which is a huge loss. I mean, they also just traded away Jacoby Myers, but I mean he wasn't really getting the targets and the receptions that he once was. I mean, they're kind of leaning on Trey Tucker a little bit more. Um, we saw with Brock Bowers coming back, he hasn't lost a step. I mean, 43 fantasy points last week. In tight end favored
3
leagues, he had
touchdowns
almost
and
50.
127 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and especially with it being a primetime game, I mean, it could be a blowout, but I like Raiders covering within 10 here. I think with the addition of Bowers, it's a huge help. Um, and I think Trey Tucker has more of a chance now to at least produce, especially with their best corner being out. And Genty, I mean, that D line is still really good, but I mean, I know Genty's had a few stinkers, but in a primetime game, I think they're going to feed him the ball. So I'm going to be the difference maker here. I'm going with the underdog.
A whole lot in favor for Vegas right now. Like the only momentum they truly have moving for them is currently Bowers coming off that performance. But with Sertan out, yeah, that's a big blow for the cornerback position, of which the Raiders don't really have too much danger when it comes to wide receivers. You should have seen Real explode when you saw Tyler Lockett light up with a target. Like people were just losing their minds. They're like, "What do you mean you just threw the ball to Tyler Lockett?" Like the Raiders don't have much at their disposal outside of yes, Genty and Bowers. But I think that this Broncos defense has just been too strong for Geno of all people to really keep this game relatively close.
Yeah, I was really like there. I'm gonna say this a couple of times, so I'm not gonna put it for this one. I originally was on Vegas, and because solely because we've seen Denver multiple times this year, not necessarily win. They're not playing obviously to cover the spread, but a lot of these games they just go into game manager mode, and they've kept some bad teams in it. Denver, I mean, they're 0-2 against the spread over 8 this year. Last year against the Raiders, were 2-0 against the spread, so kind of I don't know if that nullifies it out. But as they were 5.5 point favorites last year when they were at home. But the Denver defense is just so nasty. 5th in points allowed. You're talking about a Raiders team that has the most turnover worthy plays in the league. That's not necessarily a good mix. No Sertan, yes, but no more Jacoby Myers in Las Vegas either. He's heading to Jacksonville because they're beat up there. And Geno, 25th in pressure to sack rate. So you're talking about a Denver defense that is number one at getting sacks. Denver loves sack. We know that's established.
They do.
So the heart wanted the Raiders. The spreadsheet said Denver. Best way I could say it.
Whatever.
Players to watch of this game. Brooklyn and I, we're all in the Denver backfield, funny enough. Brooklyn and I on J.K. Dobbins, Nick riding the little bit of a high of R.J. Harvey having a couple good games back to back, finding the end zone.
Yeah.
Gonna be a battle of essentially it's like boom or bust. It's like Dobbins is gonna get most of the carries. Is Harvey gonna find that explosive play?
Yeah.
Um,
Like you said, I mean, how you just kind of describe it, I feel like he'll find it one way or another.
yeah, it will. He's had some big plays the last 2 weeks, so it's gonna be interesting if it's improved or if he gets like improved touches or if it's just gonna be more of that explosiveness that you got to take a risk for. I put this in the 1 o'clock games and then realized it's actually in Berlin at 9:30 in the morning for us, and that is the Falcons technically at the Colts, -5.5, which I think a week. If we're having this conversation last week, it's a lot different. I mean, this Falcons team, we've seen two different iterations of them. We've seen the dominant defense. We've seen them get ass blasted against the Panthers. And a 5.5 line. The Colts coming off, probably their most embarrassing game of the year. We talked about the turnovers against Pittsburgh. Line's at 48.5. Atlanta's O line a little bit beat up. Jesse Bates also limited in practice. Whereas for the Colts, I mean, for the most part, healthy, but still have some question marks there. And then, yeah, looking at the spreadsheet, we're all riding the Colts. So I think this is more of a question of, do we we're all believers that that was just a bad game, you bounce back from it, or is there a script for the Falcons to really make this game interesting? Because they covered against New England last week on the road, and they've showed that this defense, it's incredibly good against the pass cover or against in pass coverage, but they're an annoying team to talk about because they've stepped up to the plate and they've also struck out, so it's a headache. But is there a route for Atlanta?
I'm willing to give the Colts the benefit of the doubt here. In the respect that they have played, teams like the Chargers, who on paper have really good defenses. Yes, the Falcons have stood their ground, that they do have a pretty sound defense overall. But with the Steelers having edge rushers as powerful as they do, the Colts just saw a bunch of stuff that they knew they were going to see, just weren't ready for. I don't think entirely that Atlanta has anything too scary that's going to challenge them in that respect. It's just got to try to be a clean game for Indianapolis, and then I think in that way, that's how they just take this game out. I don't think offensively Atlanta is going to really be able to put together too much now with especially Sauce on that Colts defense. Drake London, we'll see what he can do. But yeah, I think they just got so much stronger on defense, and I don't think it's gonna be able to be that close to cover. So
For completely forgot to mention the Sauce acquisition. 2 first-round picks, kind of crazy. Not gonna lie.
which to me only strengthens that defense even more. They already have Travarius Ward and
Clark, or not Clark, Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore, yeah. So that's 3 pretty solid corners that they already got now. That defense is relatively pretty healthy. You know, Aaron Rodgers, and I don't even think overall. I think Jalen Warren led that game last week in touchdowns, and he had under 40 yards. So just some goal line plays that made the Colts lose that game. I don't think that strikes in the same time this time.
Yeah, no, I kind of agree with Brooklyn here. I do think Atlanta has a pretty solid avenue into making it at least close. Um, I mean, we saw Penix looks really good against the Patriots last week. I know there was a questionable call with the intentional grounding call that kind of set them back. That came out after the fact. But I think this will be truly to see if this Colts team is legit going against 2 highly rated defenses back to back weeks. Especially a team that's really good against the air. And this Colts team, as we know, love to air out the ball. I mean, most of their points, if not all of their points, come through the air if Jonathan Taylor's not rushing it into the end zone.
Whoa, I wholeheartedly disagree with that statement. The reason I just talked about the Pittsburgh loss, like the key denominator. You're talking about a guy that going into last week was on pace for 30 rushing touchdowns. He is the offense. Like I think
No,
if anything, they've made it easier for Daniel Jones. And last week was like a game where, trailing, you had to see Daniel Jones actually do a little bit more, and we saw taking too long in the pocket, not really processing the field that well, and led to turnovers. So I think
I
you
mean,
do establish it through the ground.
you do, but I also don't take away what Daniel Jones has done this year because if you look, all of the Colts receivers are rated very highly this year in receiving. I mean, Daniel Jones is doing a very good job stepping up in the role. He's top 10 in passer rating, I'm pretty sure, QB rating. I mean, he's having a pretty solid year. I don't disregard that. He had some really bad turnovers. We've seen that before, but I mean, to take away, he's done more good than bad this season. I mean, it is one game. It's pretty tough. But 2 of their losses have came from really good defenses. So it will be a test. If they do lose to this Atlanta team, then that's when I'll start to question it a little bit. But I still think this Colts team's really, really good.
Players to watch of this game, Nick's on Alec Pierce, hoping for that deep bomb, as he's been so, as odd as it sounds, consistently, like almost reliable. Like, I feel like you talk about a lot of those deep threat receivers, especially when we're talking fantasy wise, and they're not always the most dependable guys because, they could go, 1 for 4 with like a 30-yard catch and that's it. Or you have a big game where, that like, like a Jameson Williams of like the past, even though he finally had a good game last week. But Pierce, I think he had like 10 targets last week. It was kind of really stepping up in a week where there are some very key buys that, he's the guy that if he's on your roster, that he's definitely in play this week. Brooklyn's,
Especially, I know, sorry to cut you off. Pittman's dealing with an injury too, so that's also something to keep in mind. I mean, that could be a guy that if he's available, he could go pick up.
I know he didn't practice today as of Wednesday, but if he doesn't, then I think Pierce is a clear guy that could again save your week. Brooklyn riding Kyle Pitts. Just hope talk about chasing a high.
Yeah, I like Pitts in this game right now. As much as we just said, though, the Colts defense is going to hold their own. They are the team that has let up a touchdown to an opposing tight end for 4 weeks in a row. Overall, Kyle Pitts is having a decent season for what you might say his ceiling is now. He a lot of targets. He gets a lot of targets from Penix, and in fantasy purposes, like 12, 7, 7, 18, 4, 13, 14, 7 points all in the last 9 weeks. Like granted with their bye. Like, yeah, he's had some down games where he's kind of been the Kyle Pitts we've sort of known, but he's also shown some pretty decent upside. I think right now he's on pace for 812 yards, which would be better than last season, not better than his rookie season of like 1,026, I believe that was. But I think he could have a possible big week and find the end zone again. Um, yeah.
And I kind of like, or well, I picked Drake London. Nothing fancy. Nothing. It's the simple script of the Colts. At their bottom 10 in fantasy points allowed to wide receivers. And mainly because I feel like in a lot of those games that they've been up so much, they kind of opposing teams do have to sling it. And we saw from last week. I mean, what a crazy 3 touchdown game from Drake London. But he's a dog, and yeah, if they're trailing, they're gonna have to look to somebody. And if I'm curious to know if Sauce is gonna play this week, and if that's gonna be a matchup, because that's gonna be entertaining. Definitely gotta wake up early for that.
Definitely.
Another game that I originally was on one side and flipped over, where maybe when I'm crunching the numbers and such before the pod, and that's New England at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay -2.5, total over of 48.5. I gotta make sure to keep double checking to see if these lines have adjusted since I've placed this down, and it's still at 2.5. And this was a game that I was originally on Tampa. One of the main reasons I was looking at is New England's win total is currently set at 11.5. So you're equating for about they're expecting around 3 more losses on the year, and when you look at their schedule, there's Buffalo, there's Baltimore. But this is up there for one of their toughest games remaining. So I think this is a pretty I could see this as a route of New England coming back to reality. I mean, we did see them lose against the Raiders in Week 1. Let's not forget. I say all this as I'm defending them this week because as dumb as it is, I mean the Bucks they're still a little bit beat up. That receiver room, Bucky Irving's still going to be out for a little bit, and New England I know they've been flaunting this stat everywhere, but they haven't allowed a rusher to exceed 50 rushing yards in a game this season. So if the Bucks can't necessarily get it done on the ground, and your receiving core is a little banged up.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Bijan had I think 46 last week, and that was the highest.
Holy shit! I didn't even know that.
The run defense has been pretty solid for New England.
That's really cool.
So I flipped to New England, as is Nick. Brooklyn's on Tampa. I think, guys, this is going to be one of the more exciting games of the week.
Yeah,
I can't say I can't say I'm like on Tampa like heavily because there's a lot obviously with that injury report that is striking. With Bucky still not playing, Rashad White like had a couple of weeks where he was the back or he was okay and kind of fizzled out. Chris Godwin, I don't know if he is looking like he is going to play or not, but that will ultimately also play a big factor. Ibuka, will be a factor, is always something to monitor, but right now that as long as I saw also Baker is dealing with an illness, if that injury report goes south any worse than it currently looks, then yeah, I think I might go back New England's route. But right now, I still trust that Tampa Bay is a team that their record was stating. Just some minor setbacks, and this spread again is pretty thin. I think it could go either way.
I'm going with New England here, and I would say only now. Earlier on in the season, it was full on biasy, but now I would say it's like 25% biasy, just because like this team is really really good. Uh, they haven't lost a game on the road this season. May in his last 10 starts, 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 2,228 passing yards. And I mean, they've won their last 6 games in a row. They've covered the spread in 5 of those wins. Um, yeah, I mean, and the narrative of this game is injuries, obviously. I mean, Chris Godwin still hurt. Ramondre Stevenson still dealing with that toe injury. So that's going to be something to look at. Kayshawn Booty too. He hurt his hamstring. He didn't practice as of Wednesday. But if you're in the Discord, he already said that he's good. So that's good to know. But Christian Gonzalez though, full participant this week, so he's going to be good to go. He's going to be on Ibuka, so you're going to have to see guys like Tez Johnson really step up. Kate Otten, Rashad Wright's probably going to be utilized more in the passing game than the rushing. If they haven't let up 50 rushing yards, which is an insane stat. Um, yeah, I like the Pats this week, at least to cover. I think that they can pull it off though, on the road. I think it will be a close game. But yeah, roll New England, man.
Our players to watch of this game, both of you guys highlighting Stephon Diggs, as you know, Booty possibly not playing this week. I know that Discord message to his fans, one's so cool. I love that. That's how it's announced. But if he's out, this does seem like this should be a good game for Diggs. If he's playing, I think this is an Igbuka carry game for the Bucks offense. I mean, I talk about the rushing game, that it's really not going to be too much there. I almost want to put Tez Johnson, but if Igbuka's playing, it's got to be Igbuka. So again, a lot of my players to watch, unfortunately, not the flashiest things, but you're going to see from these matchups that when you break it down, there aren't many cool players to shout out because there's some ugly matchups. But before we get into our first pick of the week, I'm just going to take a quick non-commercial break because we're not advertised yet. We'll be right back.
Yeah, very soon to be.
Yeah, I wish, but hey, someday, hopefully. Quick commercial break. Hope you enjoyed the advertisements that still don't exist. If we had our own products, that would have been funny to shout out, but we're not entrepreneurs like that.
Sweatshirt soon.
Yeah, merch for our order that will be for the three of us.
If you wanted, yeah, it's just the three of us. We don't have any extras.
Yep.
But take it away, Brooklyn. Buffalo at Miami. Your pick of the week.
Yeah, I love the Bills right now. In this matchup, I believe the spread is still currently in favor of Buffalo, 9.5, minus 9.5, of course. Um, Coming off of that bye week we saw against the Panthers, a lot of people were really worried that the Bills they're gonna get crushed on the run with Dowdle and Hubbard. And as we saw, Panthers racked up total. I think it was 115 yards rushing. But we expected that. We kind of everyone watching that game knew that was really going to be the Panthers' only route to try to keep that close, and it wasn't close at all. It was 40-9 finish. Now that being said, Bills look like their defense, especially, has looked very patched up. I know Ed Oliver is looking to be out until at least the postseason. I think Joey Bosa is on the injury report at the moment, but he's still questionable. But if we look at that game against Kansas City, very big statement for the Bills right there. It was super unexpected of what might happen. They weren't favored to win. I can tell you that much. And while Mahomes did plenty of Mahomes things, that offense for Buffalo looked completely dialed in. Kincaid really showed out, and that everybody eats offense really had its mark all over that game against one of the teams that had some of the more momentum. James Cook looks like he's kind of found a step again between this week and that massive game against Carolina. Now they go up against the Dolphins, a team that just got embarrassed by a Ravens offense that is just starting to kind of pick things back up, just getting Lamar back. And this is now the Dolphins facing a Bills team that has full momentum going their way. Blowout against Carolina, very huge win against Kansas City, and they got to try to handle Josh Allen and this Bills team now with momentum. There's not much more for me to say stat wise in terms of why I think the Bills are going to clear 9.5. Last time they played Miami, they still won by 10, and that was before we saw all these holes and lapses of judgment in their defense. They patched a lot of things up. It looks like it, and I honestly think Tua is in a lot of trouble right now. He's not going to be able to get the looks he wants. That being said, I like the Bills here to win this game by another 10 points. If not, could be something close to what we saw in Carolina.
Well said, sir.
You got nothing,
A
Nick?
lot to think about there.
You got nothing?
I think. Nah,
Silence the crowd.
I am not. No, I like the pick. I personally wouldn't take it. Just I don't know, but I do like it. I think
Does the spread make you uncomfortable
you-
or
yes, because of the James Cook injury. I don't know if you
fair?
saw that, but
No, I
like
saw he is practicing because of ankle injury management. I think Ray Davis is going to be not James Cook, obviously, but a fine, fill in for a game that this Dolphins defense, hasn't been good. Bottom 5 in points allowed, about 27 points a game just to opposition, and the Bills are one of those teams that's just going to keep racking up points on points on points against you. So with or without James Cook, I still think Josh Allen is going to be able to find his targets. Kincaid's probably in line for another big week, and I just don't see how Miami can keep up with that.
I will say that the Buffalo D line did do a really good job of containing Mahomes and making him make difficult throws. I mean, uh, obviously he's been having to do that all season, but this was the one game where it just wasn't working. Anything he was trying to do wasn't working. So I will say that. I mean, the Buffalo defense still just kind of scares me, especially with a guy going up against Achan. Just because Achan is just a demon in yards after the catch. But I do like Buffalo to cover. I just wouldn't personally put my money on it because -9.5's a sweat. Unless you're
I think
Nico
the
and
Bills.
take the Rams.
I think the Bills have seen Miami enough. They've seen Tua a bunch. Two teams that kind of know each other and what each quarterback is capable of. But in terms of who has the better talent and in that just scenario, of course, it's going to lean Buffalo right now.
Yeah, I well, looking at the spreadsheet, all of us took Buffalo. Another one that I want to say I was, thinking of both ways. I didn't even mean to make a 6-7 joke. I'm just showing that I
Saw
am
it.
swayed in my
I saw it.
opinions.
Nope, I saw it. I gotta call you out.
Um, but I mean, you asked me, going out of that Falcons game, and oh my God, I was swimming with the fins, baby. I really thought that there is a little bit of hope with this team, and going against last week. I mean, you saw I did take Miami to cover, at home. I knew the defense is ass. Like the defense, I really thought was not going to be anything special, and I said that they weren't going to win, but I thought they could cover. And what happens? They put up 6 points.
They also did just trade Jalen Phillips. Forgot to mention that. They did trade him to the Eagles. So they did just trade their best pass rusher. So I take that back, actually. Forgot about that.
So he means he's going to put money on the Bills to cover the spread.
Yep.
The Bills, but I took the Bills here. But you look this season, games where they've been favored more than 7 points, they're 1-4, with the most being that stomping of the Panthers 2 weeks ago. You go out against the Chiefs as underdogs at home, and you get a big win on the road there. But from what I looked at, it seems like the positives of Buffalo are trending the right way. Yes, on the road, but the Miami offense just isn't clicking. Like the defense is already going to be a welcome mat, but offense isn't going to do anything. I don't know if 9.5 might be a little too steep. But at the same time, I kind of do, as a Jalen Waddle fantasy owner, actually, I feel like and two was left-handed. I give a
They
little
pulled it
sympathy.
off earlier in the season, before even Tyreek was hurt, and that was, and I think a lot of like the uncertainty is what you saw from Buffalo in the not first half, but before the bye. But you look at them now outside of the bye, and they look almost more dialed in on offense. Granted that Patriots game was a hard watch, but like you look at now, their defense against the run, they're able to plug a lot more like holes where you would have saw a bunch of running backs run all over them. Now, A Chain's gonna be a bigger test, but I don't think Tua's gonna be able to do much of anything
They've
if
dominated
he's only
bad
got
defenses, and this is a bad defense. So you gotta take the better team. Players to watch. I am, if he's healthy, I think this is, if James Cook doesn't play, I think it's just good to highlight the RB1 in Buffalo. Again, we talked about that Miami defense, that rush defense is horrific. So that's where I would lean. Brooklyn taking Kincaid, in my opinion, the clear number one passing option in Buffalo. And Nick, taking a little bit of a surprise when I saw you write this in. Keon Coleman, he's been
Yeah,
absolutely ass this year. So
I know. I know.
what do you think's happening?
I just there's got to be a week he's got to break out, right? There just
it's just
has
it's gotta
like
be.
there just
Spoken like a
has to be a
true
game.
Kyle Pitts fantasy owner, as
Y-
you've had him for
Oh,
years.
I had him for 4 years and finally shipped his ass out. And let me tell
Oh,
you, we were doing great till Tucker Craft. But um no, I mean, I just think matchup wise, like this just has to be the week that they utilize Keon Coleman a little bit more. Granted, I know Khalil Shakir's starting to dial it up, but I don't know if Joshua Palmer's still not gonna play. I mean, like he's there, throw him the ball.
Yeah, instead you're going to
I don't know.
see, 5 targets
Josh
to
Palmer was
Kincaid, 4 to
Josh
Knox.
Palmer was a weird like headline for it to really not have much of an effect on anything. Like they're like, oh, the Bills are trading for or signing Josh Palmer, and it's just like, all right, and we're this far into the season, and what has he done?
Hey,
Nothing.
who just? Oh my god, I have to look this up now because it's gonna bother me. Somebody of the NBA just signed with the Shanghai Sharks recently.
Ben
Uh,
Simmons.
no, no, no. Oh my god, it's gonna bother me now. But it's like saying that, like Josh Palmer. Oh, it's Hassan Whiteside. That's what it was. Like. But like that might the crazy analogy, but stay with me here. Like
Oh
Josh
man.
Palmer joined a receiving room that isn't that good. Keon Coleman, and like what? Like then we're talking tight ends. So it's like yeah, Hassan Whiteside's not NBA talent, but in Shanghai it's a headline.
Yeah, that's true.
Um,
Oh man.
well, shout out the Sharks. Shout out Whiteside. Um, moving forward, we've got the Ravens on the road to the Vikings. Vikings dogs at home at 3.5. Still keep forgetting to keep DraftKings open so I could see what the line's at, and it's moved to 4.5 in favor of Baltimore. Total was 48.5, and this is a game where I think the script for Baltimore is at you want to, as dumb as it sounds, like they almost have to win out. You really can't afford many losses, and it could be the line saying it's going to be close, but looking at our spreadsheet picks, all of us riding Baltimore here. McCarthy again got a big win on the road against the Lions, but a Baltimore team that is again, we last week we said they're the healthiest they've been. They're going to continue to ride that. Defense made a big step up last week as well, again against the Dolphins. But I think this is a pretty safe pick, to be honest with you guys. I know the Vikings defense is pretty legit, and they did just walk into Detroit and take that win. But Baltimore's got to catch fire, and they started last week, and I think momentum's got to carry them forward.
I agree. I like Baltimore in this game. I think this is actually going to be a really competitive and good game. I mean, both of these teams are in very competitive divisions. Baltimore, I mean, Steelers obviously they keep winning, but I mean like I don't know, man. That division's very close. Aside from the Browns, like Bengals had a key loss for them last week, and now they're in the bye. Like if Baltimore can catch fire, they're 4-5. They're right there. And same thing with Minnesota, though. Huge win against Detroit. They're still in that division. Packers took a huge loss to Carolina. I mean, both of these teams are very competitive. They're both in the running to at least make an impact for the playoffs if they can win out. But I mean, Baltimore with Lamar back is basically a brand new team. I see no problems, especially with how Minnesota was able to stop Detroit with getting to Goff. I mean, that's not going to be a problem with Lamar because we know how Lamar can run. But yeah, I like Baltimore.
We also
I
know how
do
much
think
Goff can't run.
yeah, exactly. But I mean, I thought McCarthy had a really good game last week. Um, but I feel like the defense really was crucial in that victory against the Lions. They just weren't able to let them catch fire at all. They weren't able to like really have them go down and have a solid drive. So I'm leaning against Baltimore.
You're leaning against Baltimore?
Like I like them.
Yeah, no, I can't be more on board with you guys right here. Like Lamar coming back just in that first game back and looking as good as he did, and also how coincidental Derrick Henry decides to finally have a decent week. Yeah, and then with that division being so close, every game right now for Baltimore is an absolute must win. They're gonna come out with that mentality each time, knowing that these plays have to be made. And I expect them now, with a full week back, with Lamar healthy, they're probably going to be able to pick up ideally from where they left off in week one. So, yeah.
And it's really tough to pick JJ McCarthy, who has in his NFL career a handful of like complete games played, and
Yeah.
betting against a top 3 quarterback in the league. That I can't do it. I think the line's pretty small. If I said last week that the Ravens would win but not cover, and if it's this week, I'm gonna be fucking pissed. Um, but anywho, players to watch. I took Mark Andrews here. Minnesota is kind of the same thing on fantasy rankings. They're in the bottom 10 when it comes to tight end scoring, and Lamar loves Mark Andrews. Like I don't know, they especially in the end zone, it feels like a lot of their plays they always end up targeting a tight end. So I think it's a good matchup, and Lamar healthy, I think it's a good play there. Brooklyn doubling down on the Baltimore offense, taking Zay Flowers to have a good game this week, something we haven't seen as we talked about last week. And then Nick taking a familiar face, someone that's burned us a couple times, but Aaron Jones leaning towards not playing. This could be a good game for Jordan Mason.
Definitely could. I mean, this offensive line is still pretty beat up. It's kind of rough, but I mean, against the struggling Ravens defense, I think Mason has at least a chance to have a pretty good game, at least on the ground. So, I mean, especially with all the buys, not a bad flex option if you have them.
I mean, there's only so many places you can. We talked about 2 weeks ago having the 1.6 fantasy points. Like, there's only so many places you can go but up. 1.6, 4.7. Let's shoot Jordan Mason.
Yeah,
I want 7 points out of you this week.
Yeah, please, man, just.
Well, I actually need more. His projection.
I asked nicely.
Just please,
maybe a couple
please,
PPR
please.
dump offs if Aaron Jones isn't there. Take some of those. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Our first game of the year with a chance of snow. That's exciting. I love a good snow football game, unless I'm playing Madden, because then it sucks.
Awful, terrible
Weather in Madden sucks. It's
weather, especially if you are the Tennessee Titans. Every single home game is a fucking washout for some reason.
You need to put context into that. You gotta you gotta explain that.
We have a Madden franchise, and we play on all Madden, and we took teams, and I am the Titans, and it was a fantasy draft. In the first season that we have it right now, every single home game I've had, it's been a rain game in Tennessee. Every single home game. So I built a fucking dome. We re-expanded the arena. I came in as the coach and demanded a new arena, and my team is so good that they fucking built it. And now since we've had the dome,
So good. Did you
game,
make the playoffs in year one?
Nope. We did not, unfortunately. Me and the Steelers had the same record, and the Steelers made it because they had 2 more points scored than we did in the regular season. So we are watching this one at home. But the Tennessee Titans next year are gonna be back.
Yeah, myself and the Cleveland
about the
Browns are in the
Jets?
playoffs. That's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways, the snow.
Yeah, the snow. Snow game. Giants heading to Chicago. Minus 3.5 in favor of the Bears. I stuttered there for a second. The offense for Chicago, pretty banged up. I mean, DJ Moore's didn't practice today. We didn't see Kevin Byard practice today. Romo Dunze didn't practice today. Swift still got the dick issue. Sorry, that is DJ Moore, but they both got groin problems.
Since when was that?
What gas station pill did they take? I want to know.
Don't
All right.
ask me
So
why.
curious.
Ben Johnson's got to go into his locker room and he's got to say, guys, he's gonna have like a pillowcase and he's like, hey, give me all the blue chew.
I know you have
Stop
it.
taking hymns.
Oh my god.
Stay away
Hey.
from 7-Eleven.
But
You know what? Then
yeah, sorry, keep going.
well, I was gonna then switch my player to watch this week because I originally had DJ Moore, but I can talk about the end if you want.
Yeah, if you because I was gonna highlight a little bit more of the Bears, like we kind of talked about last week. Giants didn't really put up much of a fight against a very, very injury deprived 49ers team, and the Bears in one of the craziest games of the year so far. They put up. I mean, granted, the Bengals defense is as free as it gets, but at the same time, over 40 points. That's not nothing. This week on the spreadsheet, as you probably noticed from listening so far, there's been a lot of group opinions that have been the same. I mean, we've only had, I think, 2 games going into this point where we have had the 3 of us actually not all agree. Brooklyn took Tampa, and then Nick took Vegas, but all of us still on Chicago here. A Chicago team that the last couple of weeks, to be honest, the defense has been worrying me. I mean, Tyler Huntley had a good game at home against them. So I think there are very glaring question marks for that defense. But with that being said, I'm not really scared of this Giants team. I gave Giants fans the 1 week of sympathy, but Dart's like he's come out of the gate sometimes, and he's really had some good games, but he hasn't really been consistent. And that offense, you look at that offense on paper each week in and week out, and I can't stand behind it. So I'm on Chicago here. More to you guys here, unless you do think there's an avenue for the Giants. But like, how much did you guys take into consideration this game? Because for a lot of games, I've been like kind of, I've said I've been like on the fence. But this was a game. Maybe it's just my Giants hatred that's come out through this podcast. But I've just been
through the podcast because of the podcast.
it is it is because of the podcast. I got no beef with Giants, but like I picked against
Why?
them.
You're a Patriots fan. How the fuck do you not have beef with the Giants?
Because I don't. I mean, yeah, they had like there were some two big games, but as a Patriots fan, I feel like I'm kind of humble in the way that there's been a lot of things that have gone their way through history. It's just the law averages. We're talking about gambling. It can't all be perfect.
Could have had 9.
Complaining about having 9 when, oh my God, how many teams haven't even won in the last 20 years? Unreal business.
Coincidentally, I do see an avenue for New York. As much as I do still lean Chicago, I think that they have just a better infrastructure there and also a better coach, in my opinion. But
Oof.
New York, what?
I'm a Ben Johnson glazer, dude, and I don't know. Dable's been on the hot seat for like 2 years.
Oh, about that.
Oh, sorry. No, oh my God, I meant the Bears have a better coach. Sorry.
Okay.
Oh.
No. Dable is definitely not the better coach. No, sorry, I meant the Bears. But I do see an avenue for the Giants in the way, like going against the 49ers, they put up a fight against. I mean, I know Mac Jones still at the helm there, but like, I didn't think that game was gonna be nearly as close as it was. And then Dart still threw for 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 24 for 33. Not a horrible game when you look at it. And in terms of the defenses, both bottom 10. Like there's gonna be, I think this game just could be a straight up shootout. So it's almost similar to Cincinnati, not even close to how that ended. But I see a possible upset for New York just because like Chicago can't really guard either. And if DJ Moore is out and if Odunze is out, it's up to now my player of the week, Zacchaeus, and
Luther
Loveland.
Burden.
And Luther Burden. Yeah, okay, but I don't think that all in all, neither team is too much of a threat at the moment. And I think honestly, in this scenario, this specific week, it could kind of lean anyway.
Not necessarily a poop game, but more a mid game. Not even like it's not like stinking. Yeah. It's not shitty. It's just like one of those.
It has a chance.
Yeah, I don't know.
Bad.
Well, I don't know. It could be a poop game if there's snow.
That is true. That would be.
You're just gonna see a lot of handoffs, or just snow.
And I mean,
in Chicago,
I would take the running attack of the Bears. As I feel like that's dumb when you're talking about Dart.
If Crayon Man was in the backfield for the Giants, then it would be a little bit different. But I don't know.
Yeah, no, he's on the sidelines for it. But yeah, all of us on Bears.
Dart threw 2 touchdowns, ran a touchdown in like against the Niners. So yeah, their defense is banged up, but overall, I think they're kind of a better defense than the Bears.
But talk about the flip side of that game. Like, how many points did the Niners score?
34. It's 34 to 24.
34 points. 34 points.
Right. But you're telling me then. You're telling me with DJ Moore and if they're out, if DJ Moore and Odunze are both out, like it's gonna be that type of game again.
I view it as like the Giants gave up 34 points to almost a 49ers backup offense, and like the Bears gave up 40 points to Joe Flacco, but Joe Flacco's got I think more competitive threats than this Giants offense has to carries right now.
Theo Johnson and Gunnar Olszewski scored a touchdown last week.
And am I scared of them? Am I blinking an eye at them? No.
But the fact that it happens, it makes you think that again, like I've said this before in like previous just sports.
It was garbage time.
These guys are professional athletes still. Like the plays happen. The plays still happen. And it's
you might
it's
as well
possible.
You might as well flip to the Giants the way you're defending them.
You want me to do that?
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not gonna. No peer pressure on this podcast.
No, you know what?
Do it.
Punching my ticket. We go.
Oh my God!
New York
I did this last week too. I think I took the Bengals actually last week.
I have a weird feeling about this game that both teams got bad offenses and if the injury report is trending how it is right now, they might be kind of an even playing field.
It's not going to be a
But
Dart Aster class, but I'm not seeing a Giants win.
See, I hope it is now, just because you said that.
I
Clip
still
it.
win. I still win.
Clip it. Yeah. That's fair.
Other players to watch. I know Brooklyn very briefly mentioned Zacchaeus because I mean he would just immediately get bumped up to a wide receiver one, and give credit where credit's due, man. I
If
mean,
you put him in your starting lineup this weekend, you have a fucking problem.
you have a lot of
I'm a big-
injuries. You gotta, you
I
gotta.
it can't be that bad.
He's when they've called his name, he's answered. It's crazy.
I know.
You're riding the hot hand of Loveland after his breakout
Yeah.
game, and I talked all that about the Giants, but you know what? I think that in fantasy terms, a wide receiver one, even on the worst team, unless you're the Browns, but wide receiver one is
Shout out Jerry
valuable,
Jeudy.
and I think Darius Slayton is bound to get a game where he gets more than 7 targets. I'm leaning on Slayton on the fact that they got to throw to somebody that isn't a tight end.
Not
I think
Wandale?
If Slayton or Wandale are a wide receiver one, like how much better is Zacchaeus?
It's a fair point, but
think
I think Caleb is the better
better.
quarterback. I think they have the head coach advantage. I think like both defenses are pretty bad, but I think the offense of Chicago is better than the Giants. The fact that again we have this conversation at the beginning of the year. I know the Bears aren't a powerhouse by any means, but we would not be giving this much glaze to the Giants as we are.
They are one of those teams that like I always take because I'm just like the Bears and also Caleb Williams, and they seem like a team that like you kind of just you want to root for them, but they just make it hard with some of the losses that they take, man.
That I agree with. But
Oh
jumping
man.
to the next game. And when I've
Woo!
made this point so many times. This is the point I will say close. Like this was so very close to being my pick of the week. I wanted to do it so bad, but you know what? Like I told myself, like picks of the week. That's got to be like our most confident. That's got to be our lock. And I couldn't take a plus odds team. I couldn't do it. But I'm talking about our poop game of the week. Soundboard's gonna come soon where we have the. But until then,
I can't wait to hear that.
Yeah.
The shit
I want a
sound.
soundboard just for poop. No, but
Each bide's a different like, poop sound. Yeah.
poop game of the week. It is the Browns at the Jets. Jets favored -1.5. Surprise, surprise. It is the lowest total for the week at 36.5. It looks like it might be a rain game too. Shout out the Titans in a virtual world. And a Browns team that is so funny when you look at the numbers, man. I mean, a dominant defense. They're the number one rush defense according to both EPA per rush and PFF. If you go off of PFF as well, they're the number one ranked defense and the 32nd ranked offense. So you want to talk about playing two sides of the ball.
First to worst. Literally.
Um,
That's fucking crazy.
And you know what? They, against Miami 2 weeks ago, let's not forget, I mean, they put up 31 and Miami won in total yards. And that's why, like, again, my pick, it wasn't my pick of the week, but if there's a second pick of the week, it's the Browns here. I think that, I talk a lot of shit about this Jets team. Maybe I'm just talking shit about New York all the time, but the Jets offense, it's Tyrod Taylor and JV kids. Like, Garrett Wilson's going to be coming back. That's good. Brees Hall somehow didn't get traded, but you saw Sauce and you saw Quinnen Williams out the door. This is a team that just wants to lose. And
Is it officially Tyrod?
that's actually a good question. Yeah, because last I heard, Aaron Glenn did not tell the media because he didn't want to give an advantage. But
Yeah,
regardless,
he was quote unquote questionable when I was looking earlier.
I just can't see how Tyrod gets this. I mean, Fields, yeah, he's been horrible in his own right, but fantasy wise, he had a not bad week last week. They still, um, that game or not last week, sorry, against the Bengals last time still wasn't great, but definitely not a horrible. No picks, threw for a touchdown, 21 for 32, awful.
I think it's bad.
Browns are now favored -2.5.
Yeah, insane flip. Happy I got the Browns at a plus odds, but that shit. Maybe it should have been my pick of the week. Point still
You
stands.
did?
Huh? No, I didn't do it. I said it should if the line just flipped that way.
Oh. I was gonna say,
But
'cause
it
I
just goes to
bet the
show
Browns.
they were plus odds early in the week, and then all the money turns one way. Mind you, also when I make the spreadsheet, I make it at the beginning of the week when the lines just come out. So what does that tell you? That a lot of people like Cleveland, even though they're on the road. Yeah, the offense is putrid, but this is, I mean, it's poop game of the week. It's going to be ugly. And that's why I like my player to watch from this game, Cleveland defense. Like in fantasy, like I took that team with no hesitation. I think they were projected like 7 points in one of my leagues. If I don't get double digits,
That's
I'm gonna be
gross.
mad.
Yeah, dude. That's gross. I
Um,
took Fannin.
yeah, your safety blanket on that offense.
I mean, realistic. Yeah, I mean, like other than Judkins, like he's the only one on this offense that's had like good upside. So, but
And
yeah,
then
Fannin.
Yeah,
Brooklyn taking Isaiah
I
Davis.
I rode Isaiah Davis here for a reason of we all know that Brees is not entirely very happy with the fact that he's the only one who didn't get shipped out of New York. And he is, I think, like, he's coming to the end of his contract, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a free agent after this year. You make a good case for that.
right,
Like if you're
right,
the Jets and
and,
you're tearing it down, you should give
right,
Davis more carries.
exactly. And
Yeah,
if you're looking at Isaiah Davis, remind me, is he a rookie or not a rookie? But
like
he's
39.
pretty recent. And last
He's
week
like 24. He's pretty young.
yeah, last week he didn't get a touchdown, but he logged 17 points in fantasy, 65 yards. Um, 9.29 yards per carry for each time that he touched the ball. I believe he only got like 7 carries, maybe. He had 5 receptions as well. Like they gave him some reps, proved that he can make something out of him. And I believe in a scenario right now where you're looking at like Brees is definitely not going to want to come back here. Why not give the next runner up a couple reps, and I think he could be in line, especially if they get into some critical situations. If maybe he gets a couple touches there. So, and also the Jets are in full like not like urgency mode for anything. Like they just want to focus on, okay, what is our team going to realistically look like when we go into next season? I think so.
Yeah, tearing it down, yeah, and a complete rebuild. I mean, next 2 years they own 5 first round picks. I think they have a combined 4 seconds. It'll be exciting if they do it right, but they're the Jets, and I don't know how much you can expect them to do right. Um, we got our second pick of the week here. I think you could always, I don't know, I gotta listen to these episodes and see if I make it obvious how it's not me. But I'm gonna let Nick take the mic here.
All right. So we're going with Carolina -5.5 at home up against the Saints. I need a redemption pick after last week. I talked so highly about the Titans. The Titan. Oh my God, the Titans. I'm thinking about the virtual franchise. Fuck. So talk so highly about the Lions. They let me down. I'm putting all my eggs into the Bryce Young basket this week. I really like this line. I like it at -5.5. I'm not sure what it is now. I don't know if it moved or not. Totals at 39.5. I see Nico quickly looking that up. Thank you, sir.
It's the same.
What? Oh, it's the same. Okay, so -5.5. I like this line. New Orleans side of things, it's been rough. I mean, they just traded Shaheed yesterday at the trade deadline, so that's one deep threat gone. You're basically relying on uh, old beat up Kamara and Olave. They have no definite QB room. We saw Tyler Shuck. I mean, I mean, he didn't look terrible against the Rams. He threw the ball for 24 times. I mean, they're definitely let him throwing it. 176 passing. He had a pick and threw for a touchdown. Longest completion though was under 30 yards. It's 27 yards. So I mean, take that with what you will. Saints are 2-7 against the spread this year. They're 1-2 away against the spread. PFF grades, they rank dead last overall. Like they are literally ranked the worst team in the NFL according to PFF. Their earned point average per play this year so far is -19 through the air and -10 on the ground. So this team sucks throwing the ball, and they're still pretty bad running the ball. They're ranked 29th in tackling, which is actually like they're graded 29 in tackling, which is the worst in the league. So this is the worst tackling team in the league. Um, they have a key injury. I mean, I can't pronounce his name. Fuega, starting
I'm like
tackle.
looking at this injury report. There's like so many names. Like, who is
I think
that?
it's
Yeah, Fuega,
Fuaga, tomato, tomato.
Fuaga.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. One of their starters at tackle, he didn't practice. I know Kamara, he's staying limited just because of age. But you got Kendra Miller still on IR, Devin Neal. But I mean, there's really nothing positive to say about the Saints team. I mean, they're just bad. It's really bad. Carolina, though, I really do like Carolina. I mean, huge win last week against the Packers in Green Bay. They're the fifth best graded run team in the league. I mean, Rico Dowdle, he's been showing why he's the best. He's like one of the best running backs in the league this season. He had 25 carries last week. He was on the injury report this week, but I mean, I solely think it was just a rest. I mean, he had a lot of usage against that game. I mean, Bryce Young didn't really have a good game against that Packers defense, but the defense looked really good. The Panthers defense looked good against that Green Bay offense. Just to wrap it up here quickly, Carolina 6-3 against the spread this year. They're 3-1 at home, and they're 8-2 against the spread in their last 10 home games. And also, I do think this is the game that Tet breaks out. I mean, he's having a really good rookie season. It's kind of, I mean, I know Emeka Ibuka kind of took over as a rookie. I mean, he scored a touchdown the first 5 weeks of the season. But if you look at Tet's stats, 41 catches on the year, half a thousand receiving yards already through 10 weeks, and he has 2 receiving touchdowns, but he's averaging over 13 yards a catch. So he's also my player to watch this week. But yeah, rolling with the Panthers, baby.
I thought
Anything
Brooke
else
was
you
going to
need to
jump
add
in.
in?
Sorry, no. I mean, I don't have much to add in terms of like what's gonna actually happen in this game. I think it's kind of a shit show. I like the Panthers as a better team overall, um, and I don't really know like now that the Saints have so much like curiosity of who their quarterback is, and Shock hasn't been relatively, something to be like, oh, he's played sort of well recently. Like, I only have my player of the week or player to watch for the week, and that's gonna be Juwan Johnson. Big safety blanket for Shock right now, especially being a big tight end. After Shahid's gone, I feel like he's been overall very productive just for that offense overall so far, and it's only going to continue, especially now that Shock's gonna have to figure out who his targets really are. But in terms of anything to add to this game, I got nothing for you. I like your pick. It might be a little close. I feel though.
Yeah,
Talking from the guy who's going to the -9.5 spread for the Bills. So
I like Nick's thought process here. I mean, both of you guys are like, I like both picks of the week, but the way that I always go about my picks of the week is, obviously you want to pick a good team, but I think the thing I look at first is just like who is bottom of the barrel. I mean, you go through. I know I picked the Commanders when they didn't have Jaden Daniels out, but a lot of mine have just been fading bad teams. The Titans, I picked against the Saints a couple times this year, and I'm just gonna be honest. Like if like the Titans, I'm bringing up the Titans again because like they covered last week. Joe Alt goes down, and that's it. That's where like we've seen clear differences happen with the Chargers offense. But you gotta be a sick man to like stand by putting your money into a sports book. You have to be a sick man to stand by the Saints or the Titans on a week to week basis. I don't think there's any like I don't know. I don't want to sound so negative here, but as we said, the Saints are bad. Unless playing the Giants through the last 2 years, they're bad. They covered a 14-point spread, and this Carolina team, kind of like the Falcons in some ways, where like we've seen them kind of take a step back and then at the same time look like a like kind of a legit team, but overall, I can't praise the Saints. I'm looking at the spreadsheet. All of us are on the Panthers. Shuck sucks. My player to watch, Bryce Young. Again, in an example of myself, no Dak this week. You don't have a lot of leagues where you're missing Mahomes. You're gonna be missing Flacco, who's been a legit start. And I have Bryce Young on my bench, and this couldn't have worked out any better. This is a good matchup this week, and yeah, bad showing against a good Packers defense, but Saints are bad. Saints are bad. Just that's it.
Yep. They suck. Saints are bad.
Moving over to could have been like a nice honorary mention for poop game of the week, but I think that's disrespectful to the Texans defense. And that's the Jaguars heading to Houston to play the Texans. Texans were originally -1.5. It's now flipped the other way, where they are now dogs at 1.5. I think that has something to do with obviously Stroud going to be out this week. Will Anderson just both him and Stingley held out of practice for rest. But the total for this game is at 37.5. We saw these teams play earlier this year, and Jacksonville did win 17-10, but that's with a much healthier offense. And we just saw them have to go trade for Jacoby Myers. They clearly need something there. Spreadsheet wise, both Nick and myself are on the Texans, Brooklyn on the Jags, but I talked a lot about how I thought this Jags team could be like a dark horse in the AFC, and the last few weeks they've shown that they're just not there yet. And I think this Houston defense can keep them in games. And we saw last week with Denver. And I think Denver, while I hate how their offense operates, I think it's a better team. And they really struggled against this defense. So that's where I lean Texans. But how do you guys feel?
Yeah, I can jump in real quick. Yeah, I mean, CJ Stroud's not looking like he's going to play this week, and the Jags are a team that leads the league in takeaways. Got Davis Mills. Like, do I really think he's going to make the best decision every time that ball leaves his hand? No. But I like what the Jags did, adding Myers to their wide receiver room. Like, he's got talent. He's just, you start off there, you're already wanting out of a team, and you make that so blatantly obvious. Obviously, each game you go into, you're going to see some ups and downs, and sometimes even majority downs if you don't want to be there. I'm going to keep this one really, really short. I like Jacksonville to have a chance here against a not good quarterback, and also a offense in general that's just kind of been struggling. And typically with these narrow spreads is where I lean more towards a side that might not be favored, just because of the fact that it is such a possible stealable game. And Jags coming off a big win against Vegas, which obviously that's not really much competition compared to the Houston defense. But yeah, I'll just throw one quick fun fact in there real quick. The lowest over-under of the year so far was 36.5 against for the Vikings versus the Browns. So that was that one. I think that was Zone Gabriel's first start. Apparently we're set to rival that this week. So.
Well, don't forget poop game of the week this week. Browns Jets 36.5.
It's tied. It's tied for the lowest. This is the second lowest.
Ooh.
There's 2 games this week that have unders of 36 and 37.
My
6,
fault.
7?
Players to watch of this game. Both you guys are on Woody Marks, as no CJ Stroud. They're gonna have to do it through the run. I'm kind of
I don't
highlighting.
think there is a player
Chubb-
to watch.
Chubb's hurt.
I really don't think there is much of a player to watch this week. Yeah, Woody Marks might be the actual best option.
I'm highlighting Parker Washington, back-to-back weeks with over 8 targets. Yeah, they just traded for Myers, but I think getting acclimated into the offense this week, Parker Washington is still going to be that wide receiver one at least through this week, but it could be going forward. So, again, an ugly one, another honorary poop game of the week, but I don't know if it's going to top Browns Jets. That's a great one. But now heading into the 4 o'clock window, we've got another one that, when you look at it at first glance, you might say it's nothing, but it took some thought here, and that's the Cardinals at the Seahawks. Seahawks -7, a total of 45.5, and we've, as of today, learned that Kyler Murray getting put on IR. Jacoby Brissett going to be the starter for at least the next 4 weeks, and in his last 3 games, Cardinals are 3-0 against the spread. 9-point favorite or 9-point dogs against the Colts, 7-point dogs against the Packers. They've covered some pretty big lines, and for Seattle, I mean, we saw them just absolutely stomp on the Commanders on Sunday night. So as much praise as I really want to give Arizona, again, Nick and I following suit in the same wavelength here of riding Seattle, but I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be another interesting test for Seattle, but I think the Seahawks team, they're just gonna keep rolling. They're gonna put their foot down as we're not just the Sam Darnold on the Minnesota Vikings going 14-2. Like, this is a team that even with a bad run game has dominated. So I'm not really worried. I mean, the Seattle team, I think I didn't highlight it here, but they after Sunday night, I think they're 7-2. I think in their like through looking at the spreads. So it's hard to pick against them, but curious to hear why we like the Cardinals.
Coming in for this one because we just watched what happened against that Dallas team, against an offense we thought was going to be much more lethal than what we saw. Cardinals defense did not play bad at all, and overall I think Seahawks very strong team, yes, but that was a big upset for the Cardinals to somehow pull that off, and I can't really go against a guy in both quarterbacks right now, while I would say Darnold is more reputable, both in rhythm. And I think it's gonna be a really good game to watch. You saw Marv have one of the better breakout games he's had so far this year. Trey Benson Trey Benson, Trey McBride. Hopefully going to step it up this week, and I just think that right now, coming off of that win, Arizona's got some high mojo. Again, with a quarterback who's in rhythm, and touchdown just kind of seems a little too wide versus how well we saw them play against that Dallas offense.
Yeah, I like Seahawks here. I mean, kind of like how you already touched up with Sam Darnold. I mean, he's looked fucking awesome this year. I mean, that whole Seahawks receiving core has looked great. I mean, granted, Cooper Kupp has.
He went into Sunday night at halftime without an incompletion and 4 passing touchdowns.
Which
it's
was
insane.
absolutely absurd.
Started him in my home league because Jalen Hurts had a bye, and I dropped 175. Actually, I had Bowers, T. Higgins, and Sam Darnold that week.
Jesus.
Last week's. Yeah, that was awesome. But I like the Hawks here. I think even too on defense, they've looked very, very good. But to Brooklyn's point though, the Arizona Cardinals defense actually did surprise me going up against the Cowboys. I truly thought that 54.5 total point was gonna soar over, and we were all.
I mean, everyone rode Dallas
mistaken.
spread.
Not my ass.
No, not Nico. Not Nico.
Rollbird.
Majority of America.
But I mean, anytime though, like the Cowboys had any momentum on offense, I mean, Cardinals they just force turnovers. I mean, that Jake Ferguson fumble was huge for him. But I mean, I think Seattle's a little bit. They're just on a hot streak. It's a division game, and I mean they're in Seattle. I mean, playing at Seattle is like one of the hardest arenas to play at. So, I like Seattle to cover at least by 7.
The Seahawks also have only allowed the Bucks and Falcons to score 20 plus points, and their current win line is at 11.5. But you look at like kind of the same thing I was looking at with the Pats. You know, upcoming on their schedule, they still have to play the Rams twice. They still have to play the Colts, and they play Rams twice, Colts, Vikings, Falcons, Niners. Niners week 18, so I don't know how healthy they're going to be at that point, but those are legit teams, and I don't think they're going to walk out of that 6-game stretch going 5-1. So I think there's losses to come for Seattle. I don't think it's this week. Right. Players to watch. Nick's taken newly acquired Rashid Shaheed. Brooklyn's
He's
on.
Fun to watch, man.
Brooklyn to Marv.
He's always that deep threat and also the return man for them, for the Saints. Like he's a good guy to watch on the field.
Yep, and I think he'll make up for the absence of Cooper Kupp. And no disrespect to Kupp, but I mean, like, it's clear as day that his time from LA is like not there. I mean, it's just of age. I mean, he's dealt with some injuries, but I mean, now giving Darnold another deep threat alongside JSN, yeah, I think he's gonna thrive in the Seattle offense. I think it's what they needed.
I went with Ken Walker as my player to watch. Someone that struggled the last couple weeks when you're talking fantasy value wise. But I think this is against a Cardinals defense that I give credit to. But I every week tell myself that Zach Charbonnet is going to get less carries because he has not been efficient. And it's bound to happen at some point. And I'm gonna ride until it does. And Brooklyn on Marv, because Marv with Jacoby Brissett has been a good fantasy option. We saw a good performance against Dallas.
Did you hear on the broadcast? Sorry, this is really quick. That Marvin Harrison Sr. like openly complained about like his usage in the Cardinals offense under Kyler Murray.
That's little league shit, man. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
he did an ESPN interview and he like said like, yeah, like I can't watch it. Like it pisses me off.
Yeah, that's like in like Pee Wee football.
It's like give my kid some reps. Like
I just thought it was so funny because then they were like, well, he has nothing to complain about tonight.
No nepotism in my NFL.
Facts.
But moving on. My pick of the week, long due again. Almost was the Browns, but we're hoping we don't copy Nick in this way. But I'm taking. I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, good luck, buddy.
Lions to cover on the road against Washington at -7.5. Highest total for the week because we don't have the Cowboys playing, so it's at 50.5. And to keep it short, the Commanders are without their quarterback. They're without their wide receiver 1. They've been terrible running the ball. I think Bill specifically hasn't had a rush of like over 13 yards in 3 weeks. Um, he's averaging like 3 yards a carry, and yeah, this is a Lions team that sometimes they're gonna get bit with turnovers. They had some unluckiness in that Vikings game. I think it's a fluke. I mean, this is a team that's third in points, 10th in points allowed. That's a good offense, or that's a great offense. That's a good defense, and against a banged up old Commanders roster, I think this my player to watch being Gibbs. I think this is a good bounce back place for him, and I think 7.5 is kind of generous. So I think this game's going to be kind of ugly for Washington fans.
Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that the spread is where it's at, and then against fucking Minnesota, it was what 10.5.
8.5.
Okay, still then
Adamantly,
7.5 against this like just dead Washington team. Like, no, I absolutely love this minus 7.5. Like, I'm not really worried about this one. I was kind of a little bit more worried about Minnesota because their defense has shown up at times. But yeah, my player to watch for this week, however, going with Washington is Zach Ertz because specifically he's been kind of that reliable target for the Commanders week by week. Even last year we saw it a ton. He gets red zone targets. He's a big target for them. And with Mariota now getting the ball, he's gonna again be the safety blanket there. Overall though, Washington's probably gonna get stomped here. That's all I got.
I went with Amon Ra for my player to watch, only just because, I mean, the commander second there, they have Lattimore, but I mean, like, they've been targeting him a lot. So, I mean,
I think
Amon Ra
Lattimore's out for the
hit
year
a.
actually.
Oh, right. I forgot
Yeah.
about that. Then, yeah, here you go. Yep.
Moving forward, Rams at 49ers. This was when ranking my picks of the week of what I liked. This was in the top 5. This was in consideration. Maybe a little bias off of them helping me out last week. Um, but Rams traveling to San Fran. San Fran or line being at +3.5. Um, we're seeing Puka that had
Game,
like a little bit
this
of.
matchup's always entertaining. It's always an entertaining coaching matchup.
I mean, yeah, it's master and apprentice in a way. To call Sean McVay an apprentice is absurd.
Especially when, like, both teams are competing. Not one is good and one is bad.
You have two great football minds, and it always creates a good game. With that said, though, none of us on the Niners. Also, speaking of last game, all of us obviously ride in Detroit because why would you not ride my pick of the week? As I'm 4-1 this year, knock on wood.
Well, I
But
hope they do you well.
that makes 2 of us because there'll be money on it. But Rams -3.5. I think like yes, Shanahan has been able to like win games with this really beat up roster, but you look at the teams that they played the last couple weeks. I think this is just going to be the Rams at full strength. With I mean, yeah, Puka's a little banged up, but for the most part at full strength. Just going to town and just continuing to show that they're top 3 team in the NFC right now, and I would say outside of the Lions, maybe my favorite case to go to the Super Bowl. As crazy as that sounds, but any hope for the Niners here, guys, or we're just all on the Rams?
I mean, unless McCaffrey. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm all for the Rams too.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say unless McCaffrey has some crazy, like, insane, vintage game. Based off how we've seen Los Angeles play, like, no one's really been able to hold them too much, and that's it.
They did beat the Rams earlier this year. Let's not forget.
Mm-hmm.
20,
It was earlier
26,
this year
23.
before Fred Warner.
It was yeah.
They did win the
Oh
game,
yeah,
No,
it was a
every-
primetime game.
really.
but they
It's a
listen.
primetime
They were big dogs.
Yeah.
They were 8.5 dogs.
game.
8.5.
But I don't believe in the Mac Jones luck. I think this is gonna be another just a Rams win. I would take this line at 7. I don't know if that changes things for you, but not saying I would.
I'm gonna take it at 7.
Like I think they win by a score comfortably. Players to watch, both of you guys riding Kittle because it's gotta there's what's the reason there? There's got to be production. It's got to come from somewhere.
Yeah. It's got to come from somewhere. I mean, no Ricky probably. I mean, Purdy limited, but you never know. I mean, when in doubt, throw it to your tight end, especially when it's George Kittle. If you're Mac, like I just see, especially if you don't have Brock, with some of the buys. I know Ferguson being out too. Like, I mean, I feel like Kittle's the next best option.
And then I went with Kyron. Last time these two played, Kyron had 31 fantasy points. And in games where I think it's not going to be that close, I do see the run game kind of, taking over. Blake Corum got like 14 carries last week. But again, against the Saints team, it wasn't competitive. And Kyron still got over 100 yards on the ground. So
Is that the game he had the fumble that kind of sold the win?
on the goal line,
Like in the 5. Yeah.
it might have been that game, actually.
Yeah, I think so. It was.
And that could have been the difference of a win. But
Revenge, dude.
I don't think the Rams, at the level that they are, get swept by the San Fran. But that's it for non-prime times. We're into Sunday night. I feel like we've been recording for a while too, so might have to make these quicker.
Night.
You should take over for Carrie Underwood. You should.
That's the worst intro ever.
Oh.
What?
Because it's because
We shit on the Colts guy last week, and now we're taking shots at Sunday night
Only
football.
because I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Who the fuck waits all day for Sunday
I
night?
can't wait for my full work day tomorrow and my full work week.
Come on. Like
You were
the song.
wrong. You're talking about I get it. Maybe not everybody has red zone, right? So they get their 1 o'clock games and such, but for most teams, prime time attracts viewers. Like, this is a game where you want to showcase. Maybe the cinematography is just overperforms it for me, but I'm living for Sunday night.
All right, my bad.
You're not seeing
game.
Browns Jets on Sunday night.
Not yet. Maybe in like 10 years.
But Sunday night matchup being the Steelers at the Chargers. Chargers -3. Another one that I was decently torn on. I think I flipped back twice. But I ended up going with the Chargers at -3. Brooklyn Chargers -3. Nick taking the Steelers here. And, against being the number one offense in the league, and we're just kind of blowing by it, some would say. I mean, the Steelers, they've had two pretty big wins, referring back to the Pats win early on this year, where they just had 5+ turnovers. So I don't want to say that in both of those games that even with 5+ turnovers, it still ended up being close to a 1-score game. That scares me. And we've talked about how this Pittsburgh defense at the beginning of the year looked pretty legit, kind of took some steps back, but then they forced a couple fumbles against the Colts, and you take down the number one team in the AFC. But the Chargers without Joe Alt, that does scare me. But it didn't scare me enough to go against them. Is that different for you, Nick?
No. I mean, and also the Chargers defense really kind of collapsed late game against the Titans of all teams. I mean, I know we were kind of sweating but we were kind of sweating that spread for a little bit. So
Not sweating it. I mean, I lost it.
I know, but I'm just it looked good for a little bit, and then they collapsed. I mean, I know, and I mentioned this before. Pittsburgh, that whole division is tough. I mean, they're coming off the hot hand of beating the number one AFC team in the league. Chargers are beat up. I mean, I see Herbert having a difficult time against Cam Hayward and TJ Watt. I just think that two of those guys are really too good for this Chargers line. Even with all the injuries, to at least contain both of them. I think one of them's gonna be able to get through. And Vidal really didn't have a good game last week. I mean, that run game is really hurting, and it kind of shows. So I like Pittsburgh to cover at least by 3. I know it's an away game for them, but I think it's gonna be a matter of if the Pittsburgh defense can keep it up.
This game.
I think it's not gonna, it's going to be a lot of quick releases for Herbert. Like you said, no Alt plus a really good Pittsburgh D line, and the run game might not get established. You see it with both of us taking. He's been our player to watch for 3 weeks. I mean, I don't think you have any reason to bench him, but Gadsden, tight end for the Chargers. I think that it's tough to predict the receiving core because you have. If QJ goes off, you think Ladd might not, and then Ladd might get a couple targets, but then Keenan Allen's taken over. But Gadsden's kind of like solidified himself as a consistent, like 5-6 targets a game through these last couple of weeks. I'm saying that as like more of like a floor. Brooklyn kind of taking the opposite here of more like a high flyer on Pat Fryermuth.
Yeah, he's had an increased role with the Steelers right now, and I'm sorry, can we like talk about real quick like DK's game last week?
Not great.
He did virtually like nothing. I think he had like 4 yards maybe.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at Fryermuth, it's really between him and Johnny Smith, who that real tight end one is there in Pittsburgh. And I think Rodgers recently especially has been able to utilize him a lot more, and he's shown up in some of those bigger plays, i.e. going back to the Bengals game. If we're going against a weak Chargers defense right now, and I say weak because on paper it always looks like they're not a bad team, but like they don't deliver. And I kind of like Fryermuth too. Sorry, I almost read what I wrote his name as. But I kind of just like Fryermuth to be able to sneak a good game there. He's a big red zone target for them. So yeah.
I find it really funny that, after you took the Chargers last week, and the Chargers have kind of been a thorn in your ass. But not only did you take them again this week, but you take them in a matchup where they lost against the Titans, or didn't cover against the Titans, and the Steelers covered, and not only covered, but won against the number one team in the AFC. Like, if there's any time for the Chargers hate to
And it
really
was
come out.
Brooklyn's pick of the week last week.
Yeah.
No? Oh, yeah. You got burnt on both ends.
There is
Steelers beat
difference
his pick of the
between-
week.
There's a difference between me thinking that the Steelers like are really that team, and then me taking that the Chargers have a much more powerful offense than they do defense, and this is also a big difference between me saying I think the Chargers might win by 3, and me actually putting money on it. So each time I put money on it and actually rode with that pick, they fuck me. I'm not touching them in any pick. Okay, I could say I think they might win by three points or more, but God forbid that if they do, awesome. If they don't, I'm not losing sleep over it.
Yeah, fair enough. So you're saying this is not a game you put money on, which I kind of agree with.
Absolutely not. I think that this -3, while I think that like it leans towards like the Chargers, I kind of think in a weird way it's a trap. Sort of just like how Indianapolis was like that -3.5 was. Everyone was thinking, oh, that is the best team in the league at the moment, and they're playing against a Steelers team that's kind of just got shelled by Cincinnati, and lo and behold, they kind of upset there. But I don't think the Steelers team is all that, but at the same time, I think they could show up just like they did. I still lean Chargers though, not with money.
Yeah, take your terrible towels, put them in your ass. I don't care. We're going Chargers, but I mean, could be worrisome there. But Monday Night Football, really good matchup. Even though Green Bay coming off a bad loss, and that's Eagles traveling to Lambeau. Packers -2.5. Weather says there's a small chance of snow. Better chance of snow in the Giants-Bears game. I want to see a snow game. And it looks like for this game that all of this, I don't want to bring up the curse, but all of us are rolling with the Eagles here. I don't know about you guys, but
if you say rolling, if you ever see Jordan Love roll out to the left again, just shut your eyes and turn away.
yeah, I mean,
like,
That
man
was
will do.
the funniest play I have ever seen.
Yeah,
Just
guess what? The
him
fucking
roll
Panthers
out.
safety
You
just
don't
fucking
know.
should have dropped it.
You don't know where he's going. He finally winds up. He throws it. You see it go into the end zone. It's just a Panthers player in there. There's no Packer around. And then he drops it.
yeah, like I'm very against the people that say like, oh, it's you get paid million, like when people shit on kickers and like you get paid millions just to kick, and I'm like, you don't, there's so much more to that, but I don't know, man.
Kicking is insanely hard.
Like you look at that drop interception for the Panthers, and there's nobody, as you said, nobody in his vicinity. He jumps for like honestly no reason, and it's one of those points where I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like in baseball how there's like catch probabilities and such, like that has to be like a 99% catch probability, and he doesn't come down with it. But with all that being said, the Panthers not only covered a 13-point spread, they won the game on top of that. And Tucker Kraft, unfortunately, tearing his ACL. He's going to be out the rest of the year. And this is an Eagles team that is coming off a bye. Well rested. And I think with a little bit of a different sense of urgency, we already talked about Jalen Phillips getting acquired for that D line. Um,
Yep.
and I think Eagles at plus odds. I mean, 2.5. It's pretty close to being even there. But I think they go. Well, we all think that they go on the road and win this. I think there is a route for the Packers, but yeah, a bad loss last week. Injuries that act up a little bit more on top of that, and an Eagles team that should be firing on all cylinders. So I didn't really hesitate too much with this one.
I
I,
didn't
I,
either.
slight, I slightly hesitated. I don't know. I think I also believe that there's a route for the Packers to win this game. I know the Phillies been playing very well recently, but um, Packers
Phillies?
if they it's Philly, but I mean it could
Oh,
be the
I thought you
Phillies.
said the Phillies.
Very
Oh,
well could be the Phillies.
I didn't.
Yeah, no, when I think of
Bryce
Saquon.
Harper's been doing great.
Yeah, when I think of Saquon, I really think of Trey Turner. But if the Packers can play a clean game and Josh Jacobs plays to his strengths, it just all depends on decision making with the ball. And Jordan Love better not fucking roll out left ever again because that shit is not getting dropped by most other corners or safeties in this league.
I hope he keeps
Big,
doing it.
big story to me is like their Packers kicking game has been awful. Like it's just been so gross. But with the spread again sort of thin between or within 3 points, I kind of think that there is a route the Packers can come away with this, but I still like Philly as the better team overall.
Stalled
Right.
just a perfect amount of time for me to finish finding the stat because there were 4 instances last year where the Eagles were underdogs, including the Super Bowl, and they were 4-0 against the spread. So not nothing there.
No, not nothing there.
Players to watch: Brooklyn going with Romeo Dobbs. I'm going with Christian Watson. Both of us picking Packers receivers because I mean with Tucker Kraft going down, there is targets to be consumed, and I think Watson has already made a pretty big impact on that team already. So I think that they're gonna have to sling it a little bit, and it's gonna be going to if not one of those two. I mean, we saw Golden. I think is gonna be out this week, so there's some
Yes,
injury problems for the offense for Green Bay. Nick, you didn't put anybody
definitely.
down for this game, but is there a player to
I know
watch?
that's so my bad. I'm not gonna lie. The whole initial thing confused me, so I thought I also had Christian Watson because he would have been my player. But yeah, Christian Watson too.
All right, and so to recap our picks of the week, we have Brooklyn riding with no bias here, but riding with Buffalo, 9.5 at Miami. Then we have Nick taking the Panthers -5.5 at home against the Saints, and you have my pick of the week, the Lions on the road against the Commanders at -7.5. Socials as always are going to be like that _pod, and if you can, follow, subscribe. You want to go as crazy as leave a review. It all helps the traction. I've talked to these guys almost daily about how we can improve this thing, and 6 episodes in, I'm in love. It still feels like episode 1. That type of energy that we got.
Definitely, definitely. Appreciate the love on the socials too. Been doing great actually. We've been doing very well on Instagram and the TikTok.
The
The
talk.
talk. And it's
The
only going to
talk.
get better. We're going to have a soundboard. There's going to be so much being added. I just realized I didn't close my closet door till now. And now because I pointed out, if anybody's actually visually watching, they might look at it.
All right, man. I feel like you could
It's
give
not
like a
clean.
50-50 money line on if like my room is actually if there's clothes on my bed or not. So
Mm.
I'm golden there. I'm good there. Just see, that's my one.
Yeah,
Like everybody's got their trouble
I
corner. That's my closet.
I made my bed pre-pod just so I can get into it in 0.5 seconds.
There you go. But with that said, that's the night from us three, and we'll be talking to you guys next week about how great our picks were.
Hell yeah. Roll Panthers.